The blue and magenta-like hues of the fire are a reminder of our spiritual fire, making sure that our actions are aligned with divine. In 2026, we will continue to experience the death of old systems as we are offered a remarkable opportunity to be a vessel for the new earth, birthing through us. What I'm seeing for 2026 is quicksand, especially towards the end of the year. If you do not choose to live in harmony with the universe and Mother Earth, the pressure to change will become increasingly painful. Choose to come more in sync with the universal rhythm. Saturn Neptune in Pisces is continuing to reinforce universal law and order. Open your mind and your heart to deeply listen for the truth so that you can obtain true joy. It's time to move. Let the wonder of life pull you forward so that you may learn to embrace authentic authority rather than be afraid of false authority. What commands the inner authority commands the outer authority. 2025 prepared us with upgrades to align the Shakti life force for harmonious actions in 2026. 2026 is going to be focused on Jedi training, starting from consciousness, of course. This is going to be a powerful time of embodiment and integration. This is also our opportunity to explore unconscious and subconscious patterns hidden deep in our psyche. And this is where we will be doing massive healing when it comes to the fragmentation within us. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel, Soul Awakening with Shantia. Welcome to the 2026 Astrological Forecast. So today we are going to be doing a month-by-month transit walkthrough. I may have to take some breaks in between. I looked at every month to see specifically what transits we are going to be experiencing. What I want you to do is I want you to, if you want, save this on a playlist and come back to this video throughout the year so that you can align. On my other channel, Beautiful Awakening with Shantia, you can watch the month-by-month tarot readings I do. Those are also going to be helping us do those shifts throughout the year. So I am so happy to be back. It has been hectic, crazy, lots of transitioning. It's still happening, but it's been fun nonetheless. And I feel like the energy is opening up for something different, which is what I'm excited about. You know, I feel like when you are truly an introvert, the different energy shifts we go through are always very interesting, and it keeps you highly entertained. So we don't need to keep busy lives to stay entertained or even watch things to be entertained. But the inner shifts that we're going through are so vast, and we often don't notice them. So I'm hoping that through this astrological forecast video, you'll start to note all of those subtle transits, shifts you're going to be going through this year. So we're going to start off with talking about some of the main themes of 2026. And then we're going to talk about some notable transits, the summary of the energy that we're picking up, and then we're going to do the month-by-month transit walkthrough. At the end, we are going to give kind of a summary and advice for what you can do to move through this year with grace. So save the video, come back to it throughout the year so it can help you make those shifts. Okay. So we are shifting from the wood snake year to the fire horse. Now I don't think it matters specifically about, I know we're kind of shifting, we're in a gear shifting moment. The Chinese New Year starts in February 17th specifically. So that's when we're kind of finally shifted into that new new year of the fire horse, but it's already showing itself here. So we're shifting from the wood snake to the fire horse. I had an interesting dream. So I had an interesting dream about an anaconda, and I've never dreamed about an anaconda before, but it was like a ginormous snake. And, in my head, I'm just like, oh, anaconda. And I was like, well, what is that representing? And I think that's representing sort of the wood snake energy, sort of that Shakti life force energy that we came to own. And in that dream, the anaconda was holding a girl. It wasn't that scary. She was smiling. She was intrigued, and she was trying to take a picture of it with her phone. So she was like documenting what was going on as if she was fascinated by it. So I think that's very much what we're transitioning into 2026 is like this sort of appreciation and this fascination for the knowledge that we've built. And sometimes you don't know how well or how beautifully you've built up this repertoire until you start to use it, right? Use the power, use the strength. The other thing I saw was a liger. So in my dream, I called it a tiger, but it looked like a lion. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's like a hybrid. And when I looked it up on, oh, where's my phone? I definitely need my phone for some additional notes. But the liger in my dream, the lion often represents that sense of loyalty, heart, leadership, and the tiger, I think, also represented some sort of fierceness. So either way, this is a powerful combo of leadership energies coming together. In Vedic astrology, there's nakshatras that have tigers, Vishaka being one of them. And then there's nakshatras that are connected to the lion, which is Dashnishta. And I think on the opposite, is it Pura Falguni? I'm trying to remember. It might be. But it's very much that lion energy, and we're going to get a good taste of that with K2 shifting through, and then other planets shifting through Leo as well. Towards the end of the year, Jupiter will be shifting through Leo around October. So we're going to get a taste of that leadership. So we're shifting. We're owning that Shakti life force energy, and we're stepping into action here with these concepts and these ideas. This is going to be the year of the fire horse, not just any kind of horse. It's a fire horse. So the horse is supposed to be a representation of this like free spirit essence, right? So that's why I refer to the title page of the free range energy. Be ready for this. Free spirited, confident, agreeable, responsible, being reined in, fit, intelligent, enjoyment of exertion and desire. But when you put fire behind that horse, okay, now you're adding passion, you're adding vitality, you're fanning the fire towards action, leadership, not just leadership, but leadership in movement. The shadow side to this fire horse energy, which officially starts around February 17th, 2026, is impulsive, volatile, and impatient. So watch for those energies. This is the year of one. Okay, so this is the year for new, fresh beginnings, fresh starts, inspired action. This is also the year of sun. So this is the year of illumination of the true self. So a sun year. Sun is about the self-expression. Watch my sun series. Illumination of the true self, self-expression. Whatever seeds you planted will create a ripple effect for the next 9 years of harvest. There might be some themes around fatherhood or about your inner authority or outer authorities. That's going to be a common theme for this year. So yeah, we'll get into it, but there will be an interesting dynamic when it comes to who's been in power, who's been in leadership. You'll witness that in the external. The challenges the sun year offers is perfection. So sun is huge. It's the largest graha. It lights up everything else. It's about truth, illumination. So sometimes there's this perfected energy that comes with it where we feel tied to certain concepts or we have to do it. It has to be done a certain way. And that's where we're going to have to lean in with that moon feminine energy to balance that out. This year, because we're moving into a year of one, we're being challenged with letting go of old patterns. Sun also grants you responsibility. Now, where Saturn is, which is in Pisces in conjunct Neptune, there is a theme around responsibility and also emotional responsibility. Personal responsibility is also Sun. So that fire horse, that horse is kind of focused on itself. It wants to run along free. So it's focusing on what it wants, but there's also responsibility that comes with this sun-like energy. What commands the inner authority commands the outer authority, as I said in the intro. So this is the time for you to really evaluate what is commanding your inner authority. Now that Shakti life force energy gave you training for that. But when the Jedi is training with Yoda, he or she is learning how to master the force here. That force is your willpower force, your will to do right, but also understanding that you have a lot of power. So you're going to come to terms with and learn how to access your power like no other. But you're going to have to learn how to master it, because usually, it's a little untrained, unstable. So whatever commands your inner authority, hopefully it's divine. Hopefully it's not material things, or the matrix illusion is not commanding your inner authority. Whatever commands your inner authority will decide what action steps you take. And you're going to see that reflected in many people. So some of their action steps might seem a little off, because their inner authority is not being commanded by divine. It's being commanded by fear or some other type of programming. Okay. So some notable transits this year. Jupiter's main lesson is shifting from Gemini to Leo. We got a big taste of Gemini energy, tons of retrogrades from mid-year, and we're continuing into that Gemini mode. So Jupiter starts off the year retrograde in Gemini. So we're relearning the lessons. What were the lessons? So it's like the teacher giving you a quiz and saying, hey, what did you learn? What did you get out of this? And then Jupiter, so this is a time of reflection, self-reflection, journal, write, reflect. If you don't want to journal, you can just self-reflect, sit there, think about it. Not enough people give enough time to thinking. Do you know why people get put in prison? Because they have to think about what they did. That gives you a lot of time to think about what you did. Some people, they learn nothing from sitting there. Some people learn a lot because they needed to take that time to self-reflect, because they were impulsive in their choices. So Jupiter goes direct March 10th, 2026 in Gemini. So it's going to move forward. Interesting enough, we're shifting into Gemini season around that time. So it'll be, it'll be Pisces season. Yes. So we're shifting like Aquarius, Pisces, so air to water. Then Jupiter goes into Cancer on June 1st, 2026. Now that's going to be around Cancer season. Jupiter, so then there's going to be this beautiful lesson around emotions. Then Jupiter goes into Leo October of 2026. So now the lessons are going to be focusing on, leadership, heart-centered creativity. I'd like to remind people, when we are focusing on leadership, this is not about you exercising domination over people. Look at my Rahu in Aquarius, K2 and Leo video. K2 and Leo is actually more of an accurate depiction of what Leo energy is, because it's internalized. It's an internal experience of that Leo leadership. That Rahu it externalizes things. It blows it up. It can make it about the ego. So K2 and Leo is really great for helping us to understand what true leadership is. It's about honoring your own inner authority, learning how to move through with that, letting that guide you instead of something around you. Whether that's an authority figure, a father authority figure, or a program matrix authority figure. So that's going to be happening around October 2026. Rahu then goes into Capricorn and K2 in Cancer on December 5th. So pretty much throughout the entire year, Rahu is going to be in Aquarius. Currently, it's in Shatabishak Nakshatra. So it's in its own nakshatra. So there's this energy around heightened intensity, obsession, media, but it's also powerful energy for healing if you use it right. It's a really good time to learn how to master healing. But December 5th is when it's shifting into Capricorn. So the collective notable theme is going to shift from networking to systems. And this is huge because what do we have in Capricorn energy? Pluto. So that's why I said, be ready. We are still going through closure. We're still going through endings. We're still finalizing some lessons because we got Rahu joining Pluto. So this is going to, it's going to move the pace a little bit faster when it comes to that death and rebirth shift that you're experiencing inside of you. We are going to be experiencing multiple stelliums throughout the year. Pretty much almost most of the signs, if not all of them, are going to have stelliums. So this brings periods of concentrated lessons, rapid evolution, and karmic compassion. Many themes are going to be activated at once. So I apologize if you hear the children. There's children playing outside. Yeah, well, I'm going to shoot this right now. Oh, sounds like someone's upset. Maybe that can also give us a hint into what the year is going to be like. Because you got to think about like that Leo energy can be like playful, childish, right? Sometimes we're throwing tantrums, especially that fire horse energy. You know, there might be definitely some moments where we want to throw some tantrums or get frustrated. Okay. So I love that we're going to have multiple stelliums. We're going to talk about those specific stelliums. Okay, so starting out, I went ahead and took snapshots for each of the months for where the planets are going to be sitting and what they look like. So starting off, we have this Sagittarius stellium that's happening. Very intense, very fiery, got that Sun-Mars conjunction, intensity. We got, right now when I'm recording this, we are, I think it's the 5th or 6th of January, because I couldn't find time. I was busy just like doing a lot of things, transitioning. It was just go time. And finally, I found some time to sit down and shoot this video here. But what I've witnessed in the news, it's very interesting that Sun-Mars energy can be very warlike, right? Very warlike, very intense. So January kicks off with an impressive stellium in Sagittarius, Mercury, Venus, Sun, and Mars, with Jupiter dispositor opposite in Gemini with dispositor Mercury in Sagittarius. Mercury is in Mula. So Mula is focused on destruction. Dissolution, destruction. And I'm not a big fan of how people talk about Mula Nakshatra. I got Mula Nakshatra. This is always about destruction and dissolution of illusions. So you're not dissolving anything you need. This world is an illusion. Mula will teach you that. So you're like, oh, it's about suffering. You only experience suffering when you hold on to something. If you can let it go, it's not, this big issue of suffering anymore. So Mercury, mental illusions. Our mind creates a landscape of ideas and it constructs and it organizes information. But now there's this deconstruction. You're starting to see this is false, and it's happening on a mental plane, particularly and when it comes to consciousness. Mercury is also a teacher, Jupiter is a teacher. So we're learning lessons, Gemini energy, lessons. How does this work? Jupiter is in Purnavasu Nakshatra. This is focused on restoration. There's a destruction that's happening, but there's also a restoration that's happening at the same time. So there's simultaneous destruction and restoration happening at the same time. Mercury, Jupiter is creating a Parivartan yoga. So they're supporting one another. The destruction is supporting the restoration of the correct things. So this happens inside of you. Don't look to the external reality to think, oh my gosh, are they building buildings out here? Don't worry about the world. This is the matrix. It's designed the way it's designed. Look at yourself. So there's rapid deconstruction, rapid restoration that's happening at the same time right now. Mercury, Jupiter are supporting one another's mission. Jupiter, Mercury are also opposite one another. They're also opposite. So there's a combination with this Gemini Sagittarius axis of conflict and resolution. So it's like problem, solution is what's showing up. And it's challenging to build your strength, especially when it comes to consciousness. There is a belief system reset that's happening. There's a belief system reset. There's optimism that's showing up. We are becoming more open to new ideas. We are approaching things differently. Okay, how can I approach this so it works? A stellium Sagittarius. This is where maybe we're setting big intentions for change, right? That's very much that January energy of setting resolutions. Depends on how you feel. The thing is, Saturn in Pisces has been putting us through it. Pluto in Capricorn has been putting us through it, especially with the exchange of energy. Pluto, they're not creating party birth on you, but there's a bit of an exchange going on there because Saturn rules Capricorn. So there's like the continuous theme of endings, and it's just going to keep happening as we're just like letting go of things that no longer resonate with us. But maybe we're setting bigger intentions for change. Oh, this is what I really want to create in my life. So set those intentions. This is the time for you to feel revved up. But again, the caution there is impatience. So the whole chart during this period of time is being directed by Jupiter and Mercury's Parivartan Yoga is ruling this energy, and because there's that dominant energy pool in the nakshatra Mula and Purnavasu, deconstruction and restoration. So that's why we're seeing warlike energies. Mula, no doubt, when it comes to external world, does look like war. Internally, there's also war, but don't worry about external war. Focus on the internal war. Focus on this. Destroying the lies. The lies that tell you to be insecure, that you need to suffer, instead of focusing on how life is sacred, reverent, and abundant, and that you can move through difficulty no matter what. You will be given a strong sense of direction, a map for how to start the year. So Sagittarius is that arrow pointing toward the truth. Well, what's the truth? So this is a time where people are feeling more inquisitive towards focusing on the truth, not the lies. A lot of that air energy can be focused on just a lot of information. What does it mean? Well, Sagittarius gives you direction on what kind of information to seek, what kind of knowledge to seek. The truth. All planets have dispositor connections to Mercury and Sagittarius and Jupiter and Gemini. Somewhat of a rocky and smooth integration. There's a passion into search behind the scenes or personal work. Be gentle with wording. Yeah, so wording, Jupiter and Gemini. Be intentional about your words. Mercury is in Mula, so sometimes we'd be saying things that be too truthful, too honest. So be a little bit more gentle, especially with that Sun Mars there. Can be feeling really intense. Passion into search behind the scenes or personal work. Yeah, so put passion behind the scenes in yourself. Okay, so next we have Venus, Sun, Mars in Purvashada, ruled by Venus. So Purvashada, this stellium here, Venus, Sun, Mars in Sagittarius, ruled by Venus, is bringing early victory. So there's going to feel like some sort of victory during this month, and an ignition of positive or desirable manifestations and connections. This gives us decisive action, creative inspiration, breakthroughs, acting on insight, clear action from learned wisdom in 2025. So there's a strong sense of, I ain't doing that no more. I want to do this during this month. Lots of movement in the end of 2025 and beginning of 2026. Definitely happened for me. And so I was seeing, when I wrote my notes for this, I was seeing a galloping horse. I wrote this right at the end of December. I was seeing a galloping horse. So the energy is like, it's moving. At the beginning of the year, we are moving. Movement is happening. So fast-paced energy. With Jupiter retrograding this in Gemini, this is like a teacher going over a lesson in class again to make sure the student received it. I channeled my notes. Beginning of the year review. a beginning of the year. What did you learn? Did you learn it? Are you sure you learned that lesson? Let's see. And divine doesn't, they're not trying to outsmart you. When they try to see if you learned your lessons, they're gentle. They send it in patterns and situations and circumstances, and they see how you adapt because they want you to be strong. They're always in support of you. They're never trying to outsmart you or bring you down. Beginning of the year review, good time for self-reflection while keeping your eyes on an approaching horizon. This is a time, call for unity after chaos. Yeah, so I think that Venus and Mars, there's a bit of chaos there, right? But there is still a call for unity. We got Rahu in Aquarius. We have interesting collective energies showing up. So there is still a call for unity here. No matter what, there's always going to be a call for unity if we listen to it. Spiritual teachings, but Sagittarius is reminding us of those spiritual teachings. Sagittarius is the energy of the teacher. Spiritual teachings and teachers on call to duty. So a lot of those teachers, a lot of us who are attuned to that teacher in us, we're finding that alignment with, this is what I want to focus on right now. This is what we need to focus on. These are the lessons. When I decided how I was going to do this video, I just do things randomly. What I've done in the past is I've done like a summary, I've done the transits, and I was like, I'm not going to do the transits. I'm not feeling it right now. I was like, I'm just going to do a walkthrough and people can just come back to this video. Because when we get so focused on, where's your ascendant? Okay, this is what's happening in your chart. This is what's happening in your chart. Usually people are looking to see what they're getting. But I'm like, if you understand the way the planets work, it's collective lessons and it's happening inside of you. So really, you just need a journal and assess for yourself what's going on. Mula ruled by Ketu. So Mula ruled by Ketu brings in past life influence. Reverence for old sacred ideas come back to the surface to be appreciated. Jupiter in Purnavasu can lend a hand to repacking old ancient ideas into fresh content. This can also be the energy of someone who's like very preachy. So watch for self-delusion into thinking you have all the answers. It can create this ego grandiose. So that's why war usually happens. It happens because of ego. I can defeat you. I can conquer you. So heavy-handed self-righteousness. We are doing the right thing. We're seeing it play out in the collective right now. So pull back into a humble and more gentle approach. Redirect. And I forgot to move this word some. And I'm probably not going to edit this later because I already went over it. Some passion into search behind the scenes or personal work. I wrote that already. Okay, I pasted it twice. Well, good thing we have it. Yeah, so as we can see, mid-January here, January 19th, we got a major stellium happening in Capricorn energy. So thankfully, we're shifting out of the Sagittarius, which is like fiery, passionate, intense, and we're shifting to stable and sustenance, which is good. We're going to need that balance. So mid-January to February, there's going to be a major stellium in Capricorn energy, but it's paired up with Pluto. So Pluto, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury. And because Pluto's been there for some time, I honestly feel like Pluto's ruling that Capricorn energy because it's really deciding, hey, we got some major death and rebirths. So, watch for that intensity. It is going to be somewhat stabilizing. There's going to be this energy of commitment. So Saturn here becomes the main dispositor. This is where we're being called to get to work. So you're going to get to work building something, whether it's towards your dreams, building your home, literally. There's going to be some sort of building energy showing up. Saturn is in Pisces right now, in Purva Bhadrapada. Neptune is in Uttara Bhadrapada, here in Pisces right now. So even though we're getting that Capricorn energy, the dispositor Saturn in these energies are about endings. So there's a theme around karmic justice becomes the main theme again. So you're going to see more intense themes around law and order, maybe some very interesting law and order crime stuff showing up in the collective. Energy turns productive and serious. Time to get ish done. Saturn will transit into Uttara Bhadrapada. So doors will close with certainty. There's going to be this energy of I'm done with this. Collective will be called to commit to future goals. So you know how people set New Year's resolutions? Part of that is that optimism they're feeling with that Sagittarius. Oh, I can do this. Right? It can be a bit grandiose. Oh, I can do that. I can do all of this. And then that Capricorn energy is like, oh, what can I actually do? Can I actually, take 5 minutes to work out every day? Realistically, is this going to work? So that period is going to give you the time to reassess some of your routine habits and what works. What habits do you want to carry with you into the long term? So collective will be called to commit to future goals, free of old illusions that have shed. This will be a heavy Plutonian Capricorn energy. Strong commitment to restructuring. Well, let's do it different. So there's not going to be this approach at the same. Sometimes Capricorn can be about traditions, but Pluto is taking the tradition out of Capricorn. Sometimes it can create an obsessive focus on maintaining traditions, but it's going to be with a power struggle. So, because Pluto is always trying to transform it. It's not trying to keep things the same. So it's going to be new transformed traditions. Strong commitment to restructuring, strong sense of responsibility. Can only commit to goals with long-term profit or mature growth goal attached to it. Not just for fun. That's not going to work. This will preview the end of the year when Rahu transits into Capricorn. So when Rahu transits into Capricorn, we're going to get another taste of what that's going to be like. But it's going to be more intensified because Rahu is going to be there. So old systems that don't work will come to an end. January 19th, 2026, Saturn moves into and joins Neptune in Uttara Bhadrapada, Pisces. Saturn rulership. So Uttara Bhadrapada is ruled by Saturn. So this is a Saturnian period. And Saturn is not about ease and pleasure, though Venus will help with that somewhat. No. Saturn is about work, restrictions, intensity, pressure, building strength. So Vashod Yamana, Shakti, sorry for reading that wrong, is the energy of Uttara Bhadrapada. This is the power to bring the rain after a drought, the power to stabilize, sustain, and carry things through. Exercise restraint. So yes, even in the beginning of the year, people are feeling tired because they're being told, push through. Still, there will be a reprieve, so don't ever worry about that. It is still a time to push through. Whatever you're building, it's going to take a lot of strength on your part. Strength, discipline, patience on your part. Power to stabilize, sustain, and carry things through. Exercise restraint. Power of silent regeneration. Power to endure until life returns. Saturn will be transiting its own nakshatra. Gives it a boost to follow through with its effectiveness. Deep water subconsciousness and collective unconscious. So when Saturn goes through, anytime a planet goes through its own nakshatra, the lesson honestly intensifies. The theme intensifies. So there's the fruits of the labor of that nakshatra, but there's also the difficulty that intensifies as well. Dissolving to liberate is this energy. Dissolving to liberate. Because we got that Pisces energy. Pisces is all about moksha, release, 12th house, moksha, release. So we're not just dissolving anything in these oceanic waters. We're dissolving things to free ourselves even more. So yes, once the transit is over, it will feel more liberating. But as we're going through it, we have to work through the dissolution that still needs to happen. Neptune in its own sign will help to make this process feel more natural. And I was seeing fuzzy lines of restriction that were very moldable. So you know, a line is like a boundary. Well, I was seeing very fuzzy lines. Very, very fuzzy lines. So as far as boundaries go, it's still being reformed and redefined during this period. So you might find that things seem to be crossing over into your boundaries, and it's harder to maintain the previous boundaries you had because those boundaries are being redefined to liberate yourself from illusions. So you might find that on the external, Maybe there is actually less boundaries, but there's also divine protection that's there to support you regardless of the illusion of the external boundary no longer being there. But you are going to feel more liberated as you just got to give in, and you just got to be like, okay, this is where life is calling me right now. So February, now an Aquarius stellium is taking shape, but it's joining Rahu. So there's going to be this amplification of Aquarius themes: Sun, Moon, Venus, Rahu, and Mercury. It will be apparent what old networking systems don't work for the greater good and are self-serving. This is a great time to move away from toxic systems. Similar to Capricorn's stellium, as they share the same dispositor but with a heavier emphasis on innovation and group work, a good time for collaborations. So similar to Capricorn's stellium, as they share the same dispositor but with heavier emphasis. So sorry about the way I wrote that sentence, but because they share the same dispositor, we're still getting that Saturn and Pisces theme, but now it's leaning more towards the Aquarian side of innovation and group work, which will feel a lot more lighthearted. But just watch for the mind. This is where grounding is going to be very important. The mental overwhelm will be more frequent during this period. And usually when people are mentally overwhelmed, they usually end up ending their own lives, honestly. It can be when I look at anyone's chart who has a Sun Aquarius, they are usually put through the most mental intensity ever. But it wakes them up. It can be very powerful. So a good time for collaborations. News media will be particularly explosive. So whatever's in the news is going to be dramatic. Strong theme of healing, mental health, and addictions. So mental health is going to be a focus. Podcasts, social media is going to be rampant. But there may also be a theme around healing because of Shakti Nakshatra and addictions. So maybe people become more addicted. Maybe people become more addicted to healing. It's a great time to channel powerful insights and share them. So for those of us who love communication, great time. Share, network, share your ideas, put it out there, support other people with their ideas. There's going to be an annular solar return on February 17th. This is creating what is called the Ring of Fire, specifically in Dashnishta Nakshatra, the lion. So Dashnishta Nakshatra is focused on cosmic wealth. What is cosmic wealth? It's always the wisdom. The wealth is the wisdom. It's the liberation through your consciousness. It is not money. The Dashnishta is also focused on the 8 Vasus. The 8 Vasus. I believe the 8 Vasus, it's focused on, you know what? I gotta refresh my memory for what the 8 Vasus are. I don't know if those are like gods or demigods. But each one is associated with a specific type of lesson. I'm kind of trying to wake up my memory here. Like righteousness, truth. Dashnishta is all about rhythm, right? It's about that rhythm. It's helping us define natural rhythm. So this is where we align with what are the natural laws of the cosmic universe. Not the laws, Capricorn can be more of like the laws of the government. But Aquarius can be more of the actual laws because we're talking about consciousness. Now we're understanding electromagnetic waves, and we're understanding the actual rhythm of vibration. So there's going to be a powerful lesson to shift vibration or rhythm from survival to prosperity. Whoever or whatever controls resources, time, energy will be exposed so people can get off someone else's timeline and onto their true divine one. So it's an opportunity for you to find better rhythm. For those who maybe are not as spiritually oriented, maybe they can, if their routine in life has been feeling a bit off, this is a good time for them to find more flow. And Sun, Moon, Venus, Rahu, Mercury, all there will help them to do that. There may be a disturbance in the reordering of power and resources. So we got the line there. Line always gives us this energy of power. Dashnisha, because it's connected to Aquarius, we're thinking about networking. We're thinking about, a lot of those networking, even maybe corporate resources. But there's going to be a reordering of these resources. So you might see a lot happening when it comes to companies and organizations restructuring their business. But divine children will align with more authentic power and harmonious resources. So the true power that we are here to gain is not worldly power or status. It is authentic power, which happens from the inside. It does not need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It's just authentic. You feel it in yourself. In resources, we don't need a lot of it. We don't need a plethora. We don't need an excess. We just need it to be in harmony with ourselves and with the universe, with Mother Earth. That's the best kind of resource. Not too much, not too little, just enough. This ring of fire with the first new moon in the year will set the tone for the overall theme. So February is when you're going to get a taste of what is going to really set the tone for this entire year. There can be a birth of new systems or networks. So I have an extension of my notes here. There can be a birth of new systems or networks during this time that are healing and service oriented. Let me just double check this. Looks good. So Aquarius is about being service oriented. There's soul aligned communities. Now, the most important community you are connected to is divine. That's the most important one. Everything else just falls into place naturally. So we got a sun, moon, Rahu in Aquarius. This energy assists with the ego dissolution here. That's also the ring of fire being created, right? The annular solar eclipse. New moon. The new moon here that we're having in February will assist with the karmic reset. Again, with this the annular solar eclipse. February 20th, 2026, Saturn and Neptune conjunct exactly at 6 degrees, 31 minutes, Pisces. This is what we're going to be experiencing. There's going to be a focus of collapsed illusion, truth remains. Bam! Saturn and Neptune perfectly in alignment. I think they've been sort of like going back and forth, toggling back and forth. That's why, the ending dissolution theme is very intense. Now, originally when I didn't really understand what the heck I was talking about when it came to Neptune, I'm like, oh, it's about dreams. No. In the Matrix, Neptune seems dreamy. No, Neptune is focused on transcendence, pretty much 100%. Neptune is focused on transcendence. And so it's more about illusions and delusions. It can create this dreamy energy. Now people make movies, Star Wars and stuff like that. It's very that Neptunian energy. That's cool, but all of that is all of those movies are escapism. Some of them have really good lessons, like the Jedi, the Jedis, Yoda. They have the archetypal lessons, teachers or characters attached to them that could teach us more about ourselves. But usually people are like, they're obsessing over Star Wars. They're putting posters over their walls and they're watching the movies. And it's like, you're supposed to just get the lesson and move on. So yeah, like Neptune can actually bring you into illusion, but Saturn there is saying, nope, reality check. You're not getting caught up in illusion. You're going to see reality for what it is. You're going to see the difficulty for what it is. You're not going to get to hide behind distractions. So that's what that is. Collapsed illusions, truth remains. There's an opportunity for a soul contract reset. All of our internal resets happen through free will and by divine timing. But right now, divine is saying you can reset your soul contract to receive, to approach it differently. You know how people have NDEs and they die and then they come alive and they're like, oh, I'm going to live my life totally different. Yeah, that's a soul contract reset. That's a reset. That's a choice. It takes your free will choice to live a different kind of life if you want to. Be sure to rest during these intense energies. Pisces, rest. So I know Capricorn energy is going to call us to get to work. We might feel activated, motivated, but please take time to rest first. Your rest should come first before all of that excess activity in your life. Pluto moves from Uttarashada to Shravana. So subtle collective shift from final victory, where much willpower was needed to power through the death and rebirth of systems. And now we're shifting into Shravana, which is ruled by the moon, a shift to receptivity. So Shravana is more of the counselor-like energy. So things are going to mellow out a bit here. There's going to be that reprieve starts to be created because Pluto and Uttarashada was making us like fight. It was making us climb up every freaking hill, every mountain. But Shravana is going to be like, okay, things are going to mellow out more and you can kind of get into more of a relaxed, more meditative state here. So there's going to be what I wrote here, a completion of a stage in kingship and responsibility tests. Pluto, transformation shifts towards listening, genuine conversations, transforming communication systems. You will be challenged to become more receptive or receive the true truth. Sound healing, light language, downloads. Now that's some of the ways it may look like or show up, but by the end of the day, the knowledge is just there. You don't have to do any special things. You don't have to have a certification, a Reiki certification to understand energy. Energy is just rampant. And all you have to do is desire for the truth. If that is a true desire in your heart, it shall open. The floodgates will open. So there's going to be increase in media. A media swarm is what I called it. Interesting word choice. I was typing that quick. I don't even know why I wrote that, but there must be some sort of media swarm that's going to be showing up in February. Everyone may want to talk, get counseling. Pluto, there's probably ads. I'm seeing ads in my head here. Pluto is bringing an end to systems around education, false or outdated education systems. False gurus are going to be revealed. Sincere gurus will be highlighted. One will be called to. Honestly, a lot of those gurus are probably going to be going through their own intense training behind the scenes. So you might not even see them. They're just going to be going through things behind the scenes. False or outdated education systems. One will be called to dig deep to initiate a new layer of Jedi training. Mastering your force from within. Teachings that reveal authentic power. The Yoda from within will come alive. So it'll be more of an authoritative voice instead of just like, yes, you can do it. It's going to be like, no. And usually the more authoritative, that's that Shravana energy, Yoda. The more authoritative the energy is, the more empowered it is. The more patient, more quieter, solid, stable it is. There may be a release of documents or hidden information. I think we've been seeing that in the media already, release of documents. But yeah, that's because of that Aquarius energy. It's just information. So there's going to be a release of information during that period. It might confuse people, distract them. Don't get distracted, okay? I don't know if I take it all as entertainment, but I observe it and I try to learn, like, what is this here to teach? I try to see, what is this here to teach me? There's initiation schools for the more evolved souls. So yes, that's that Jedi training that's showing up. And there's also, I wrote here, demolishing of gatekeeping. That drives me crazy. When people say, well, we know a true teacher wants you to know. They want you to access it. They're not going to gatekeep you. You know what they do with the Catholic churches and they lock up certain books? Goodness gracious. If you go someplace and they're locking up books, you better walk out. How Harry Potter, they locked up books because that means that is a corporation, right? They're gatekeeping the knowledge, but you don't have to worry about that. I know people talk a lot about that. The knowledge is free and it's integrated through you. So you don't have to go to a library to get it. Thus, deep listening is going to be important. Deep listening, sitting in silence, meditation will make for great breakthroughs. This is where you get the knowledge. deeper reveal of hidden subconscious patterns, especially emotional patterns. Sensitivity will increase during this time because of that. We have the Capricorn, we have the Aquarius stellium, but we have Saturn in Pisces as the dispositor. So there's an increase in sensitivity, but that sensitivity will be a bit heavy because we got Saturn there. Saturn. Okay. Moving into March. So a similar theme continues into March. We're going to have with Sun, Saturn, Neptune so Sun, Saturn, and Neptune are going to be in Pisces. Sun is joining. Ooh. So there's a theme around authority and maybe power struggles showing up again, as is throughout the year. Is a reminder of a reality check. So Sun-Saturn conjunction particularly will put a lot of pressure on the self. So, the Sun wants to shine, but Saturn's saying, no, you need to do it like this and this and this. So there's that battle of authority because both Sun and Saturn are somewhat authority figures. Sun really is the boss, but Saturn is a restrictor, it makes everything heavy. So Sun is like a bright flashlight, making it obvious what illusions are dissolving. So Sun is going to illuminate, it's going to make it very obvious what things are dissolving during that period. You're going to be like, oh, I believed in this before, now I don't. I believed in this before, now I don't. This is going to be exposure season because Sun is going to be there. There's going to be some exposure when it comes to karma, our karmic patterns, other people's karma, and whatever it is that they're experiencing. This is going to be a season of accountability, responsibility, and consequences. Yes, you will see the consequences, and they will be heavy. For those who haven't not been taking care of themselves or prioritizing their well-being, you will especially see troubling consequences show up. But we also have just reminders that sometimes we're letting something fall at the wayside that we need to take care of. So some fatigue, but be sure to rest. Lunar eclipse on the 3rd will expose vulnerable areas. So eclipses always expose something. They always activate something. I've noticed. I'm just like, oh, no, eclipses are usually, work. So there's going to be an eclipse during this period. March 28th, 2026, Ketu moves into Magha Nakshatra. Woohoo! Its own nakshatra. So with Ketu moving into its own nakshatra, this is going to amplify the ego death theme. Spiritual or karmic purification, activations, leading by example. Past life roles may be activated. There may be a fall of leaders and a dissolution of leader programs or false gurus and false kingship. Now, something interesting I want to share with you. I saw a post today about someone who donated this money that they were given. It was like prize money. They decided to donate it to a children's hospital of some sort. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Immediately my antenna ticked up, and there were two things that popped up into my head. And I was like, maybe this person did this because they felt like they didn't deserve that money. Because I'm like, you got some student loans you need to pay off. You have a mother maybe who needs some help financially. Children's hospitals are corporations, and I understand, that it probably helps someone get through, but on the bigger scale, it's corporations. And I'm like, there's something you could do, like something personally you could do. Maybe it was personal for them, possibly. That was the first thing that came up. Second thing was, maybe they gave it away to get attention. Now, you know how in the movies where people are just like giving away money and stuff? That is not what the generosity that Source is calling for us to be a part of. I think, I actually loved what Krishnamurti said about how he didn't have any money. I'm like, we're pretty similar, me and you, Krishnamurti. He's like, I don't want it. He's like, what happens is the foundations he would talk at or be a part of, they would take care of him. They would take care of his needs, his living needs and stuff like that. And, people are always talking about, well, what's realistic? Realistically, you should be working a job. He don't do, like, his job is, the thing is, we're not here for jobs, we're here for passions. And the passion is to be the truth, to be the embodiment of truth, of divine itself. And that does not look like giving soup to everybody, unless that's your passion, or giving money away to everyone. So sometimes people think, well, if I join this organization where they're just giving away money, we're doing something in this world. I'm like, the best contribution you could contribute to this world is you. It's your well-being. It's your health. Healthy people, you are here to live your life. You are here to go through your transformations. You're here to evolve. And you're here to build your repertoire of consciousness inside of you. You're here to become a spiritual gymnast. If you've seen Peaceful Warrior, you're here to be a spiritual, by Dan Millman. You're here to be a spiritual warrior, a peaceful gymnast warrior. So, to me, that does not really look like generosity. It's surface level generosity. You can be generous with your vibration, your spirit, but that was a kind thing for that person to do. Yes. So you might see, with K2 and Leo, fall of leaders, dissolution of leader programs, false gurus, and false kingship. Moving on to April here. Similar themes as March. Mid-April, we have an Aries stellium showing up that forms with a Pisces stellium. So some combative energy with strong Aries and Mars conjunct. So we have the strong Aries energy. And then we also have Mars conjunct Saturn in Pisces. So this creates a passive-aggressive period. Watch for that. Sun, Mars, and Sagittarius is not passive-aggressive. It's aggressive. Jupiter and Purnavasi, but yeah, those energies can create more passive-aggressive. Like Saturn is the brakes, Mars is the green light, so it's kind of passive-aggressive. Jupiter in Purnavasu is the main dispositor, creating a Pardivatan Yoga with Mercury in Pisces. Oh, okay. So now Mercury's not in Sagittarius. Now it's transiting through Pisces. So now it's creating another type of Pardivatan Yoga, but in Pisces. This will be a powerful period for learning anything fluidly and with a determination. It's a good time to start something and initiate while also being receptive to guidance and help. So as far as those endings, those ending themes that are showing up, with this Pardivatan Yoga, it'll make it a lot easier. That's what I'm saying, intense energy, beginning of the year, there's going to be a little reprieve. After that, things will feel more mellow. And then, maybe a little intensity again here and there. So good time to start something and initiate while also being receptive to guidance and help. April 19th, 2026, Venus joins Uranus. And it will be conjunct Uranus in Taurus in Kritika Nakshatra. Now, there could be a bit of a mellowing out, but with that Kritika is about transformative fire. So things will intensify until both of those energies shift, and they will. So there'll be a quick series of powerful, harmonious transmissions will come in. Kritika makes people very critical because you're cutting away the BS. You're just like, you're getting your knife and you're like, lies. You're just slicing through all the BS and you're doing it quick. So it's going to be really nice in terms of truth. I would say be very intentional about how you want to communicate that to people, because Mercury in Pisces is technically a bit debilitated. It is having that Pardivatan Yoga with Jupiter and Purnavasu in Gemini. So that gives a positive energy in terms of Mercury is getting support from Gemini. So there's a healthy intelligence. There's a poetic intelligence showing up, especially with that exchange. There's a bit of genius actually that might be showing up during that period of time. So people may be feeling particularly passionate. I'm seeing someone who's working on their project they want to put it out there. This is a good time for that. Great time to cut out bad habits, even people, with resolve. Now, I don't necessarily believe in cutting off or cutting out people. I just kind of like, I lean away. I just lean. The thing is, I'm mostly focused on whatever I'm participating in the present moment and on my passions. So I don't try to cut out people. I just focus on things that I love. But maybe there's habits, there's energies, there's vibrations, there's identities that are dissolving where you're like, I no longer identify with this. And then you just stop going to the club, right? You stop participating. It's a great time to make a clean break from something that no longer serves you. So you can make a clean break with Kritika. It's going to support that, whether that is a job or anything else. Good time to enjoy the company of others who you resonate with. So we have May. Similar energy to April. Mid-May, Jupiter, there's going to be a Jupiter, Moon, Venus in Gemini. So a very beautiful stellium. See, this is where we get the good stuff. It's happening in a neutral sign. So beautiful synergy showing up. We have those beautiful feminine energies of Moon and Venus. And then we have Jupiter, the teacher, the expander. So it's just expanding this energy. Now, gotta watch out. People who have like a Jupiter Moon conjunction, I notice, especially when I do my moon series, I'll talk about this. Oh, powerful, magical, like just beautiful speakers or singers or artists. Like they're just like so good at what they do. And they take you somewhere with their art. But there's the addictive side to it. There's too much, It's like, oh, that's too much. So you might be feeling passionate about communicating, connecting, networking, but just make sure to be sincere. So there's going to be expansion in communication, connections, feeling connected to people, wanting to do things with people outside, perhaps. There's a dispositor, Mercury, is going to be in Rohini, so May 19th, 2026. So this is a time where you're going to see some manifestations perhaps showing up, or the idea, the approach is going to show up. So there may be some offerings, deals, good deals showing up. Is what I wrote it as. A good deal to me would just be like, something, a good exchange is what I'm seeing. Like, let's say you want something and someone's like, hey, why don't you give me that thing that you don't want anymore and you can have this. That's what I'm seeing. A fair exchange. Sun, Mercury, Uranus in Taurus could mean that there's like this brilliant idea that just shows up, or approach where you're like, I've been trying to figure out how to get past this or how to work through this, but now I finally have the idea. So May 17th, 2026, Saturn enters into Revati, which is ruled by Mercury. So Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury energy. Yeah, very beautiful energies is showing up in May, okay? Like, definitely mark this in your calendar. So this is like mid-year, almost, exactly. So Saturn, June, Jupiter, Mercury energy, discipline, and transcending illusions and clarity. Yeah, clarity gives us clarity. Revati gives us the clarity. Revati gives us sort of that fruit, the nectar of all the work that we put into something. I find it interesting that Revati is such a beautiful, benefic, generous energy, yet Mercury there would be considered, or Mercury in Pisces would be considered debilitated. But I'm willing to bet you that a lot of people had beautiful mind with this. It's its own nakshatra, beautiful energy showing up here. So when Saturn enters into Revati, this is the finalization of those endings and those lessons that are showing up before we're really initiating bigger projects and a different approach to life. And, Saturn in Purva Bhajapada, Uttara Bhajapada will put you through the ringer, but Saturn through Revati it's a smoother transition. So it's like you walked up the hill, but now you're kind of walking, or you walked up the mountain, but now you get to walk down the mountain. And it's still steep and it's still a long distance, but you get to walk down it is what I'm seeing. So it flows more. It's not as intense. All right, June. Similar energy to May. Jupiter enters into Cancer on June 1st. Sensitivity will increase. Jupiter will be opposite of Pluto. Interesting. So there's going to be extreme belief systems coming to head. Pluto's calling for a death and rebirth. Pluto's in Capricorn, which is about systems. Jupiter is in Cancer, which is about care and psychology. So there may be a challenge around psychology, but it's around the psychology that we were brought up with. that we're wanting to evolve or change. Maybe even when Jupiter enters into, because we're moving from Gemini, which is where we were downloaded with new insights and ideas, now Cancer is giving us more embodiment. All right, this is taking me to what I've heard of is somatic healing or therapy, where you're being more in tune with your body. That's what that Jupiter in Cancer is going to bring. So when I looked up Jupiter in Purnavasi people's charts, it could grant people wonderful things, but it can be intense. Frida Kahlo had this, and her life was very painful. She had strong lessons around death and rebirth, letting go, and she had a Plutonian influence. So I'm getting Frida Kahlo as far as a reference for what this energy is like. It's like, yeah, oh my God, she's brilliant. The suffering she had to go through made her relatable. It made her more attuned to the truth, and it helped us to see the feminine in a beautiful light, in a different light. But what she had to go through to get through it was very difficult. So there may be some themes around family, right? Cancer versus Capricorn, where they're opposite of each other. Care versus control. Care versus control. Who do I care about versus what am I trying to control? And this takes me to kids. We have to find that balance with like letting them be their independent self, but also giving them discipline that's very caring versus controlling. So we have to do this with ourselves. And we're going to be able to reassess where we are control freaks and where we need to let it go. And just let be. Advice. My advice is to fuse these energies. So instead of control, we can turn that again into a sense of discipline, a sense of commitment to the long term. It's like, what can I keep up over a long period of time that will help me to sustain a better sense of well-being? So fuse these energies to allow false systems to shed or fall apart. Do not try to uphold them or make them make sense, but instead lead with your heart. Not heart. This does not mean emotions. This does not mean emotions. Someone may think, oh, I'm so emotional, I must have a big heart. No, that's an illusion, and that's the Matrix, and that's Hallmark. No. The Matrix will always tell you that something is something, that it's not. Just because you feel a well of emotions in your body doesn't mean you're more heartful. That means you're more emotional. You get a lot of emotional energy, right? Versus like an earth sign is more earthy energy. Like they're kind of more present, stable, still. An air person is in their head a lot. Lots of ideas flowing. Fire person, willpower, will to do things, create. They got to like participate and do things. Their life force energy is like knocking at the door. They need to like make things, do things, be active in their body. But heart, by the end of the day, has to do with a sense of what's right. That's how you know it's the heart. What's right. You do what's right, not what makes you emotional. Your heart sense of what is right for you personally. This is your opportunity to trust what you know, to use your intuition. So you're going to get some Jedi training when it comes to your intuition. So there's going to be some beautiful lessons around, oh, what am I sensing is right now? Oh, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling like that's emotions. It's more of like, this is what feels right. Quiet. This is what feels right in me. Over needing concrete evidence. Listen to your intuition over needing concrete evidence. This matrix is always about concrete evidence. I need concrete evidence to prove that this is what's going to work, or I should do this. I need this quarter to land on heads in order for me to know that this is a go. The divine is not here to tell you what to do. They teach you how to move through things and make your own choices. They are raising independent kings and queens, divine children. So the divine child in us is humble to life, but the king and the queen is the one who acts and chooses and uses their willpower. Rather than letting external power corrupt, let truth inspire you to lead with compassion and truth. June 18th, 2026. Jupiter moves into Pusha Nakshatra, ruled by Saturn. Jupiter's exaltation point is in 5 degrees, this nakshatra. There will be an evaluation of systems that nourish. So we were talking about that, Jupiter, Cancer energy versus Pluto, Capricorn, same thing. Jupiter, so do you see how these energies match? Isn't that crazy? So it's the same theme playing throughout, but we got different arrangements. Jupiter and Pusha will teach us how to regulate our emotions. So we are emotional creatures, not to say you shouldn't have emotions. We're emotional creatures, but it's about learning how to comfortably regulate it, right? Because we are machines. We're like, we're not robot machines. We're organic. So we have to learn how to organically regulate our emotions. Some beautiful energies can come from this time. That's what I wrote. Very auspicious, especially with 3 benefics to Jupiter, Venus, and Moon in Cancer. Yeah, so now they've shifted into Cancer. Jupiter, Venus, Moon are following each other, it looks like. And we're going to get that beautiful energy of like family, care, feeling loved, feeling supported. Now, I'm saying feeling love, but I define love as what you are, truly. But the human standpoint of feeling love is like feeling safe, feeling secure, feeling supported. Challenging themes around forgiveness of old traditional systems and familiar systems. So this is going to be a really good time if you're into family psychology, which I am. I'm absolutely obsessed with family systems, because you can, in that intricate system, you can understand the whole universe of how things work. You got the mother, you got the father, you got the children, and that's like the whole freaking universe right there. You can understand how to move through consciousness by understanding that dynamic. So you'll be seeing people talk about that. How do we help the children? We have Shravana's support here. We have education systems. Who's getting educated? Usually the children. So we're particularly, just like that person donating to the children's hospital, we're going to want to support our children. And you might see some laws, rules, regulations come into place helping to support this. But what matters is the truth that you embody in front of your child. They gain a lot from the vibration of you versus you telling them what to do. Shadow side, emotional manipulation, power struggle with family or systems that feel like family. Yeah, and definitely with the Pluto Capricorn looking at it, there will be some karmic power struggles, some lessons from your childhood perhaps that show up around that time. Reminders, like it might be very much in like the subconscious where it shows up in your dreams and you wake up or you realize, oh, I'm overprotective of my child because of what happened to me. And then there's this realization of, it's time to let that go. We got July. So there's a Cancer stellium showing up around this time. Jupiter, Venus, Mercury. Ooh, time to learn some lessons. A month of emotional intelligence. So EQ is going to be going through the roof. This is a time to embrace fun learning, heighten intuition. Pluto and Moon ruled Shravan also adds to this. The month of the counselor. This energy is going to feel cathartic and therapeutic. There's going to be a shift into humility with Ketu, Venus, and Leo as well. Shift into humility. Uranus, Mars in Taurus, good month for innovative creativity and action steps. July 11th, 2026, Uranus moves from Kritika to Rohini. Radical ideas, media, technology shift from sensational critical intensity to harmonizing earthy goals, stability, procreation, sustenance, family, and beauty are now becoming the primary themes. Thank goodness. So in July, things are going to chill out. I think the beginning of the first half of the year is definitely just like there's a lot of emotional intensity here and there. But now with Uranus moving into Rohini, we're getting more of a stabilizing energy. We're getting receptive energy. So instead of us needing to like control everything or do or participate, now we're kind of sitting back and we're just like allowing ourselves to be more receptive to these earthy energies and abundance and beauty. The energy shifts from intense transformation, So we're constantly going through so much transformations, but we're going to get a little bit of a break to sustenance of new stabilized conditions. I don't know if it's so much of a break as it's a different gear. So July, there's going to be a distinct gear we're shifting into where it's like stability. It's going to be the theme. Stabilizing ideas. Pluto moves into Moon, Rud Shravan, on July 26, 2026. Sorry, July 22nd, 2026. Restructuring of education systems start experiencing deaths and rebirths during this time. Good time for writing, social media, and powerful guidance and conversations around healing and learning. The shadow side is bad advice and gossip, which can also be prominent during this period. Pluto becomes more meditative. This eases with the transformative energy of Pluto. So Pluto is going to go from being like intensely transformative and difficult to more receptive, restructuring. So there's going to be more of a subconscious restructuring than an active need to restructure or transform. So usually when we're being called to be more active in our transformation, the manifestations or the challenges are more physical. They manifest as more physical, but when it's moon, it's more psychological. So you might not see a lot happening externally, but psychologically, there might be a lot of rewiring that's happening during this period. So Pluto becomes a more meditative sage in this nakshatra, flowing with death and rebirth with effortless grace. Jupiter opposite Pluto, the two will work more in sync. So they're going to be more in sync versus like power struggles. August 1st, 2026, Rahu moves into Mars, ruled Dashnishta. This doubles on the energy of the lion, especially when Sun moves into Leo mid-month. Mass media themes will continue, but transition from sensational propaganda to righteous, it's transitioning to righteous truth. That's what I meant to write. Kundalini energy at the base intensifies. The anaconda. Fruits of karma come in. Mastery of the material plane comes into focus. So this is going to be nice. You're going to definitely see some fruits of your labor, and with the other earthy energies that showed up before, you'll see manifestations as well. But Dashnishta is about the fruits of your labor, fruits of your karma. So this is work you've also done for lifetimes, not just this lifetime. Will show up during that period, which will be awesome. We have Sun K2 Leo conjunction happening during this period. So that's an ego dissolution. We have Venus in Virgo. Why did I write that? Why did I write that? Venus in Virgo. Let me see this chart. Venus moves into Virgo maybe at the end or the beginning of September. That's what no. It's going to move before that. I guess we're going to get a bit of Virgo energy that's showing up. Let me see what else I'm seeing. Venus, Leo. Oh, okay. It shifts from K2 Venus to Venus Virgo. Where's Mercury? In Gemini. Yeah, I'm not sure where I wrote that. Oh, I wrote humble growth. Oh, humility. So Sun K2 is about humility. Venus and Virgo. It's also about humility. So there's going to be a love for humility during this period. August 18, 2026, Jupiter enters into Ashlesha while Mercury is there. Very intense. This will heighten. So there's going to be an intensification of energy, especially psychological. This will heighten Kundalini energy, intuition, sharp perception, and insight within the individual. Wisdom channeling will be at an all-time peak. This is a highly synchronistic period. The shadow side is Ashlesha is highly manipulative, emotionally manipulative, and gives on. It could also be a bully. Ashlesha can be a bully. And it could be a psychological bully in you. So definitely make sure to do everything, every self-care that you can do, that you can think of during this period. It gives on the Shakti to absorb or deliver venom. So deliver or absorb venom. So it's this energy of toxicity, toxic dynamics, toxic Family dynamics, perhaps, might show up during this period. So there will be challenges showing up with toxicity, toxic environments. Cancer energy is about our environment. So we have to create that healthier environment in us. So words are going to be powerful during this time, especially with Mercury being in its own nakshatra, Jupiter supporting it or expanding it. Make sure to deliver your words with intention so it can be healing. Deliver them with, but if you deliver them with venom, you will feel the wrath of it in yourself. So yes, be careful. I feel like this is like what goes around comes around, nakshatra for sure. And I wrote here, in poison we find the antidote. In poison we find the antidote. That will be the theme around this period. So there's going to be humility. There's going to be themes around personal healing, but there's also that psychological challenge of toxicity. What are our toxic traits that we're needing to let go of? Looking at September here, similar energy to August. There's a relearning of collective karmic lessons with Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto retrograde. What? Let me look at the chart. Saturn, Neptune, Pluto. Wow. And Uranus. Oh, okay. So there's going to be a strong relearning of lessons during this period. So there's that review that the teacher is giving you in September, which is interesting because that's a Mercurian month. September 18th, 2026, Mars joins Jupiter in Cancer. Exalted Jupiter with debilitated Mars, opposite of Pluto. Very intense energy. There may be a push and pull between misguided or impulsive action and wise purpose. This is an energy where one can become very overprotective. Jupiter Mars in Cancer fits the protector archetype. Jupiter and Mars also share a common goal in right action or lawful action. So we got Mars, it's like the energy of the police, do it like this, do it like that. And then Jupiter, this is the law, this is the law. So there's like a double down of energy on like, you need to do it the right way. Pay attention. With Cancer, the action steps will become very heart-centered, family and childhood nostalgia motivated. So we're going to be motivated by, well, the right thing to do is to do what my heart says is right, or what my family has taught me. So there's this pull towards loyalty actually happening during this period. But Pluto, Capricorn, looking at it is challenging that. One cares because it is the right thing to do. So what do you feel like is I care because this is the right thing to do kind of energy. But it's more intense than that because Jupiter Mars is giving me a little bit more do it like this or else. Very compassionate energy, a good time for forgiveness, themes, and letting go of old painful memories with the intent to move on. Intense emotional releases, perhaps sudden anger that erupts. So yeah, Mars can be extremely passive-aggressive until it blows up because it's just having all this pent-up emotion. There's going to be a heightening of emotions within us, so we have to definitely make sure to stay grounded, to stay centered so that we are sensible in our approach. But I don't know, I think Jupiter Mars might be taking a bit of the sensible out of it. Pluto Capricorn might give you a bit of sensibility, like this is the right thing to do. September 26, 2026. Oh, I wrote here, Jupiter Mars carries the energy of a spiritual warrior and a mastery around lessons of safety and security and embodiment. Meditative choice making. This is where we're meditative with our choices and we take the best approach possible. So that's the added bonus of Jupiter Mars, is it can make you more of a warrior. Think about where it's in your chart. You're going to feel more warrior-like depending on that house. More focused, more passionate, like emotionally passionate about it. Like, I really care about this. This is the right thing to do. Morality. Yeah, morality is what I'm hearing. Moral righteousness. Morally right. September 26, 2026, Mercury moves into Libra conjunct Venus. This will help to bring harmony to intense emotional energies. Oh, thank goodness. We need that. Then we have October. So Sun, Mercury, Venus will be in Libra. This creates a stellium, partnership, and harmonious themes, alliance with others or divine. So really good time for alliances. Or you might, this is contracts. On a spiritual level, this is about soul contracts. That's why I wrote here alliance with divine. So this is a really good time to, again, maybe where you'll be given choices, options to make. And the test is always happening. Divine's always saying, are you going to do it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons? Are you going to be motivated by divine will, or are you going to be motivated by egoic will? Which will you let motivate you? That's the question. That's what is at question. That's what's being tested, I suppose. Sun is about the self. Can you make the right decisions? Can you find harmony within yourself? Can you make harmonious choices? So there's training, and then there's, here I'm seeing you're having to make a choice around this time. The Libra stellium will help to balance out the Mars, Jupiter in Cancer in Auslation, the Kundalini intensity. But there's different energies of Libra. Vishaka is more intense. Watch out for that one. Swati can be a bit obsessive, depending. There could also be a focus around media, but it'll be more balanced, harmonious conversation, especially with that Pluto and Shravan. There's this seriousness around having genuine conversations of what works. A Sun and 7th house person is Barack Obama, so he always gives me this diplomatic energy. This is a really good time to exercise the inner diplomat in you, to make choices that are right, not because of your egoic will. And when Sun is in Libra, it's debilitated. So this is when someone has to humble themselves. Even when the Sun is in the 7th house, someone has to humble themselves to make right decisions around people or with people, not for the self. So that's why, people call it debilitated, but it's actually just a humbling space. If you're in a marriage or something, you're always going to be challenged to prioritize your spouse and you with equal value and not you over them. Otherwise, you'll pay for that. No, I've seen it. Karmically, it always shows up. Because it's the lesson that needs to be learned. Some retrograde themes are going to be showing up. Relearning of lessons. Yes. October 31st, 2026, Jupiter moves into Leo. And I wrote here, see the November slide. Yeah, because it's moving into Leo right at the last day of October, which is hilarious. Okay. So we have Jupiter and Leo inflames intense themes of, now we're in November. Jupiter and Leo inflames themes of the lion, fun, play, joy, creativity, children, and heart-centered themes. With Pluto, and also K2 is going to be there, which is cool. With Pluto transiting through, anytime I see K2 conjunct a planet, I'm like, ooh, cool. How's this going to affect it? With Pluto transiting through Uttara, Sun's nakshatra, ironically, Sun will be at its debilitation point with the support of Venus and Jupiter. With the support of Venus, and Jupiter will be conjunct K2 in Magha. Really cool, really great for humility. Major lessons around ego death are going to be happening around this time. There may be some confusion and frustration with wanting progress or wanting to do it a certain way or do it your way, but the universe is going to offset this so that the individual can experience an ego death. So really great time to experience humility, dissolving your ego, and just like letting go and letting divine will come in. So why do we dissolve our ego? Why are we constantly having to learn this lesson of dissolving our ego? It's because we feel more liberated when we're not in control. We're trying to control it. Control is a total illusion anyways. But we feel more attuned. We feel more in flow. We feel more liberated. We feel more free to play. So you want to dissolve the ego because you want to feel free to play. You want to always be connected to your divine child, because the divine child is the one that enters into the kingdom of heaven. So it's great. There may be some, read that. Be patient. Be patient with the timing. Create to express your truth, not for the applause. You are never going to see, I'm sorry to say this, but honestly, the best gurus, people don't really know them. They don't live out putting their image out there like that. I mean, they're open, but life will humble them to make sure that they can't, I don't know if to make sure, I think it's a choice at some point. But life will help them to dissolve their ego so that they can feel more attuned and they don't have to compromise their integrity for the applause. The stellium in Leo with K2, Jupiter, and Mars. Being there, Mars enters into Leo and joins Jupiter and K2 in Magha. Ooh, intense. Belief systems, outer or inner war. Okay, things might be getting intense right around that time when Mars enters into Leo. Mars and K2, one works hard to cut out egoic motivations. When is Mars moving? A little further into November. I didn't write the date here, but yeah, a little further. Belief systems, outer or inner war. So there may be a war because belief systems are at war. So, K2 is a tale. It has this past life experience. Sometimes it's doing things without understanding why. So just understand that there might be a little chaos showing up around that time because people are going to be doing things collectively without understanding why. They're just doing it because they're acting off of their past life karmas. I've talked about this in my Monster Inside series. A lot of those people acted on past life karmas. They're downloaded. They go through their K2 Dasha, they're downloaded with their past life, and suddenly they have all this anger. And it's going to be downloaded at some point because their karma is to deal with it. So there might be some karmic lessons showing up around the ego. Do the right thing is what I'm hearing. Do the right thing. You're being challenged to do the right thing in spite of ego. Mars and K2, one works hard to cut out egoic motivations. Cut. With the Jupiter there, one cuts out outdated ideas because of authentic, ancient, timeless wisdom. So K2 will help you dissolve and cut out what is not relevant or resonant. So we're not acting out because of a preference for non-traditional. Okay, so there's a challenge, right? There's a challenge for non-traditional preference for non-traditional perspectives for the sake of rebelling. Yeah, I think that's always the case. Sometimes people just rebel. That sounds very Aquarius. Why did I write that there? I don't know, but it did. Rahu will be in Aquarius, so maybe I'm pulling into that theme, but yeah, there's like this energy of non-traditional, and then we're just rebelling because we don't want to do what our parents did or whatever, but not because we're like, oh, but this is the right thing to do. Some things your parents did helped. There's a sense of self is externally is not validated, so you might find that you might want the applause, and you might do things to get the applause, but it's not coming. Why is it not coming? I'm doing all this work. I'm waiting for more of the fruits of my labor to show up. I had a little bit of taste a few months ago, but where is it now that I've done all this work? Well, no. This is where you may not be feeling validated during this period. And it's uncomfortable because we were programmed to seek that validation, but it's going to be great for dissolving that illusion. Instead, you must find the true confidence from within. Oh, I'm confident because this feels good. I'm confident in the truth. It's not even about the egoic self-identity. It's good to just be confident, not because of how great you are at something, but because divine says be confident. Live life as such. So November, a powerful time to channel teachings that reveal the true self and dissolve the false self. So, self, go back to zero and dissolve the karma. Become a hero by going back to zero and dissolve the karma. This is a powerful time of a karmic reset. And we're moving right into Scorpio season. So Scorpio season, yeah, we're moving into Scorpio season. The shadow side, one may become self-destructive. False systems offer no protection to the individual who seeks truth within a false construct. The individual is better off exiting this system entirely versus trying to rebel in it. You don't exit it through living off the grid. You exit through consciousness. Rebellion within the system will backfire towards the individual. So sometimes people feel like they want to go into a system or a corporation. They want to protest and they want to change the system. But I'm like, this is the matrix. The matrix always supports matrix systems. So it doesn't matter what you say, how loud you say it. You are the being that is evolving. So if you let it change you for the better, that's what matters the most. The one who speaks the loudest is not the wisest. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So yeah, if you go to some sort of corporation, you try to rebel. People are like whistleblowers. I get it, but in the long term, it doesn't really work. Not for the matrix system. I'm going to whistleblow. The truth is going to come out. They're just going into conspiracy theory. A lot of them just end up going into conspiracy theorists energy. And people are willing to believe it because they just want to believe that the truth is being exposed, not understanding that the truth is in you. And that this is an illusion. So it don't matter, all the lies that the government is telling and whatnot. It's like, what are you doing energetically? Big time for exposure of leaders or creatives with hidden agendas. Only an authentic individual can move through this transit unscathed. Now, it's going to be very entertaining. It's not going to be as, people always, I can't stand it. People look to the downfall of other people. Like sometimes, yeah, I'm upset and I'm like, yeah, maybe this person does deserve to be put in a little jail cell here. But I'm not wishing for the downfall of anyone. I want all souls to be redeemed. I want all souls to claim their victory. I want all people to find their fulfillment and to be aligned with divine. So no, I do not wish for the downfall of anybody, even though sometimes I'd be like, frustrating, but I don't have the heart. I don't have the energy to wish for the downfall of people. So you might be seeing some downfalls this year, but as we see every year, but that says more about you than it does about them. Only an authentic individual can move through this transit unscathed. Otherwise, one will be left wary from fighting against a immortal system. I wrote that? The immortal system, I guess the matrix system. Do not look at the outside for validation or confirmation. K2's power is hidden and within. It has no physical form, and it certainly cannot be found in material illusion. So just because I shave my head and I'm meditating doesn't mean suddenly I'm a spiritual, I've channeled it. Doesn't mean nothing. Okay, December. Final month. Some psychological challenges with Scorpio season continuing from November. December 5th, 2026, Rahu moves into Capricorn and joins Pluto. Death and rebirth. Themes start to amplify. Much progress with this conjunction is inevitable. So we're going to be seeing lots of death and rebirth around this time, ego death. Just know that if there's any challenges that show up, you will be okay. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some challenges showing up right around that December month. Fixed signs, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus will be active during the month. These energies ensure that the year will end on perseverance and commitment. So there's this like commit, follow your heart, do the right thing. With Rahu, Pluto, and Capricorn, this brings an element of intense. It's so intense that my voice had to squeak. It brings an element of intense devotion, obsessive devotion as well. Shadow side, obsessive devotion to false systems or destroying systems. Once Rahu enters into Capricorn, there will be a quickening of building or destroying systems. Now, the systems usually look like government, but the systems in you are like obedience. Oh, I do this because my parents taught me, or I was taught to do this. I was taught to, save for retirement because of this is what the Matrix taught me. I was taught to hoard all this wealth. Those are all these systems that are inside of us. Systems are like the broader network of how everything works and comes together, right? The corporation. So you are, right? I think someone said you are a corporation. You're not a corporation. You're really a castle, an organic, divine castle. But the corporation, this is a chance for the corporation to fall apart, right? So this is like the perfect image. You're going to see people's like perfect image definitely with this conjunction and moving on into 2027, that perfect image is going to be falling apart. What they've upheld for so long is going to be falling apart, but your system is going to be your old systems. It's like an old computer system dying. It's going to fall apart. It's just going to crack. You know, the computer just, you keep trying to fix it and clicking it, and then it just stops working. You can't get it to work no matter what you do. That's what I'm seeing. It just dies. So there's going to be some businesses and some things that are going to go out quite quickly with this transitioning happening. I'm hearing sort of like bankruptcy. I don't know how divine will, or the whatever, the network or what divine has created, which is, you know, in a sense they created the matrix, how they're going to take those systems down. But I'm seeing like bankruptcy. Again, this is not happening to people just willy-nilly or bad karma. It's just, it's whatever's old. I'm seeing like old school. You know how you walk into, if you've ever been into an old school building and you're like, dang, this was built in 1970, and then it starts to just crumble. That's what I'm seeing. Things are just going to start like totally crumbling here. Once Rahu enters into Capricorn, there will be a quickening of the building or destroying systems. So there's opportunity to build. I think people are going to try to build some things. I don't think that this is a good time to build. You know, people, I heard someone was going to be going to Saudi Arabia to build like businesses. I actually don't think those are going to be that successful as they think. Maybe it looks like it will be, but not quite during this period, because everything is just, Rahu's impulsive and it's total illusion. And it makes things look good, but it's like an illusion, a facade. So there might be fake contracts being created during this time. So definitely be careful with making long-term contractual plans with people during that period. Because I feel like Saturn, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto, Rahu in Capricorn is telling us this is not quite the time. Things are still going through a big shift and change. I think once Rahu shifts out of that Capricorn energy, it would be better. But people might be finding that they're experiencing quick success, but it's brief. But with Pluto being there, it's just not stable. It's not stable. Rahu lacks proper discernment. That's what I wrote here. So you might be thinking, oh, this contract is going to work, and it's not. Just be careful. Saturn conjunct Neptune in Pisces will bring the focus to divine systems or internal belief systems or structures. So that's definitely belief systems, spiritual belief systems, what we believe is real, what's not real. And, you know, I know there's a lot of talk about the aliens. I've never been drawn to aliens. At first I was like, maybe I should dive into that. And I'm sure they exist, you know, that's a thing. But with Saturn being there, I'm like, I don't think it's the time to meet the aliens, because Saturn is about karma. It's like, I don't think divine wants to distract us with aliens right now when we have our own inner work to do. You know what I mean? So maybe like after Saturn leaves Pisces, Neptune's there, maybe it would be a really good time for the aliens. But I'm like, Saturn, it brings a harsh reality. Aliens seem kind of cool, right? But Saturn takes away the coolness of our fantasies and our wishful thinking. So I think there's a lot of speak about aliens, but I don't think it's, could be timing, could just be the reality. I feel like what I'm always being taught is to focus on myself. And I think aliens actually might be a bit of a distraction. I'm like, they might come and go, but don't worry about them. Focus on your divine work. So yeah, divine systems, internal belief systems. So that's internal belief systems, not alien. Like that's external. The structures will start to fall away at a quicker pace. Okay, let's go ahead and conclude this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. So let's see, I've been talking for almost 2 hours. So my advice for this year, my main advice is to start becoming very disciplined with spiritual practices at the beginning of the year to offset this pull. So just find your routine, find your niche, find your flow. Because what I'm seeing, especially towards the end of the year, I'm seeing quicksand here. It's almost like finalizing these lessons, like taking it down. I'm seeing a quicksand or a whirlpool sucking things in at an alarming pace. meditation will be key. What I find is interesting is that Saturn moved from like the harder, intense 6 chakras like Uttara Purva and Uttara Bhadrapada, and then it moved to Revati. And just as Saturn's moving into Revati, but Rahu's joining Pluto. So it's like, again, this reoccurring theme of these systems needing to die or being outdated. So it's like, oh, just when you think you're getting a reprieve, that lesson comes back around. So that's what I'm seeing throughout the year. Meditation will be key, but I would not wait till the last minute to integrate a practice. It will be ineffective by the time December rolls around. Yeah, that Capricorn energy is also, it's kind of like fruits of your labor as well. You can recommit to ideas, but again, Rahu is superficial. So sometimes we think we can commit to something, but we can't actually see it through because we're just getting in tune with it for the first time. So for example, your North Node in your chart, you might think you can do it, right? You're like, I can do this North Node energy, but actually you're going to find that you have to relive that karmic lesson throughout your entire life. And you're going to get to higher tiers, higher consciousness of those lessons. So it's going to feel looser and looser, but you're going to find that you're going to be relearning that lesson throughout your entire life, which is why that's how Rahu is meant to be experienced. It's not a flash in the pan. A transit is a flash in the pan, but your birth chart is not a flash in the pan. That is your lesson to learn in this entire lifetime, to master. And it's something you have not mastered, or there's like a edginess to it. It's a little iffy, right? It's a little iffy in some areas. So it doesn't matter what age, how well stable and just like strong and disciplined you are, that Rahu's always going to challenge you to learn that lesson over and over again. Excuse me if you heard my stomach. So I feel like by the time December rolls around, you want to have a clearer picture of what your practices, your flow is. Because by the time December comes around, that Capricorn energy, Capricorn's going to be like, are you actually committed? Because you're about to learn, do you actually have the strength? Because we're about to put a bit of pressure on you. Rahu and Capricorn will force maturity and enhance the theme of responsibility felt with Saturn conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Now, what was just in responsibility? Pluto in Uttarashada, which is the Sun Nakshatra, was about responsibility of the self. So again, we're getting back to these lessons of responsibility, and right around December, you're going to feel that. Be ready. So Rahu and Capricorn will force maturity and enhance the theme of responsibility felt with Saturn conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Economic, political structures destabilize to create a new form. I'm seeing magnets break apart, then come together in a new form. This externally may look like a lot of political unrest, protesting, revoting, negotiations, and disagreements. Government may look quite chaotic during this time. Power and control will be main themes. Lots of stubbornness. People will feel very loyal to their belief systems and stronger partnerships. Do not look to external structures, but divine, eternal, and eternal ones to guide you. Reality will be playing many tricks with this conjunction. Okay. Yeah, so that stubbornness comes from that earthy energy. There's also control, power and control is going to be challenging as well. Ultimately, Capricorn's bigger lesson is inner strength. It's about those bigger habits that we've maintained throughout life that have helped to stabilize us here. So I never get distracted. Rahu shifts or transits are interesting, but I wouldn't ever get too distracted by that. I would always look to the Ketu, look to where Ketu is. And then Rahu, Ketu are always creating an axis to create balance. So they're always creating humble. People want the fast. They want the fast and the quick money. They want fame and all of those illusions, those temptations, and those 7 deadly sins. But Rahu, the gift that Rahu gives is to take it easy. Take it easy. Yes. So when Rahu, I don't know if it was when Rahu was shifting in Pisces, but when Rahu did shift into Pisces, I did find that my excitement, my devotion towards divine and tuning into that knowledge of intuition and connecting more to understanding how to free myself, I was very passionate. I was excited, but then I was reminded day by day. So that was a really good lesson to learn. And now I'm like, wherever Rahu transits, I'm not in a rush to do anything, to accomplish anything. So that transit will not see you through a lifetime. It's just a season. But look at all of the planets month by month, if you want to study them, and understand the broader network. We kept getting reoccurring. I sounded like I was repeating myself because I was breaking it down month to month. I wanted to see how consistent that lesson was of, the fire horse may be and other planets playing into it. And you can see that we're still going through a lot of the same lessons from the previous years with a slightly different spice to it of the fire horse. But that's why it's good to look at energies on all levels. As far as the beginnings go, I think with the stelliums, this will give us a constant refresh, reset of us embracing those different zodiac stelliums throughout the year, which will be cool. It'll feel like there's a lot of movement, a lot of activity throughout the year, but behind the scenes, the bigger lessons are taking place. And that's going to be consistent throughout the year. Saturn, Neptune, Pisces, Pluto, and Capricorn. Rahu will be shifting through Aquarius and then through Capricorn at the very end of the year. Jupiter will be shifting from Gemini to Leo. So we're integrating all of these lessons at the same time, but just remember that the main lesson of endings is still there, all the while you are embracing more knowledge and wisdom and truth about understanding integration of ideas, learning to follow your heart and be an authentic leader. All right. I hope you guys have a beautiful day or night whenever you see this. And at some point, I will go ahead and move forward into the moon series. It's looking like February here. I'm still in transition myself, quite a bit of activity and movement, and it's been fun. So happy to finally make a video after like 2 or 3, it's like 3 weeks maybe since I made my last video. So happy to be here making a video with you, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I hope I see you next time for another video. Like, subscribe to support, comment down below if you want to. Have a beautiful day or evening. Bye.